The Royal Justice League, super advanced yogi, takes intervention to help save the planet from the sixth mass extinction. Fiction leaps to reality. The era of the metahumans begins in the light of a new eighth day in the entire creation. For the faults of many do not judge a whole. All things on earth are of a mixed character, like a mixture of sugar and sand. Be like the intelligent ant, which only chooses the grains of sugar without touching the grains of sand. Mahavatar Babaji. When I connect what I imagine with living faith, it becomes reality. Yogi Metatron, Maitreya Buddha. Knowledge has increased and compassion has waned. This can only be reversed by massifying meditation. Only if the individual changes and improves, the world changes and improves, not before. Mahavatar Babaji. Through telepathy, astral projections and teleportations, Maitreya Buddha kept working with Mahavatar Babaji to design the master plan to save the planet. But it was not until September 2022 that the authorization from our Creator to activate it was received, because He, in His infinite mercy, decided to give a second and last chance for redemption to lost humanity. Today, June 17, 2023, Babaji confirmed to me that both he and his group of super advanced yogis will begin to take direct intervention in human affairs. Extraordinary problems require extraordinary resources. Superior forces are being mobilized to help man, but he must show that he is deserving of this help ordered by God the Father. It is not about praying, burning incense and stuff, none of that, but about moving to urgent climate action, cooperatively, coordinated, synchronized and supportive worldwide. The time of the super advanced Yogi Justice League has begun. The hidden presence of the metahumans of the Himalayas and their knowledge of ancient Atlantis will begin to be revealed, if humanity shows repentance and begins to act correctly, taking care of each others. At the age of 21, during 1977, I deeply prayed to the Divine Mother to initiate me into the sacred technique of Kriya Yoga. After insisting for several days with this request, while meditating, light came on. Before my mental image, Mahavatar Babaji appeared smiling and taught me an adaptation of the ancient technique. Long years passed until in December 2008 I experienced a deep desire to speak with the teacher again, and right in the middle of my meditation he appeared to me, allowing me to drink from their ancient wisdom. This is an excerpt from the dialogue I had with him. Yogi Dash, is this real or is it imaginary? Can I really see you and talk to you in deep meditation? Babaji Dash, what is the difference between reality and imagination? What did you learn during your years? Yogi Dash, when I connect what I imagine with living faith, it becomes reality. Babaji Dash, you say well. If something exists in your imagination, it is already real. This contact between you and me is imaginarily real and really imaginary. If I'm in your mind, I'm as real as your mind is. You already know that your body is inside your mind and that it is not the other way around. This understanding is decisive for the evolution of extended perception. At this moment I am as real or more than you, since I can go in and out of your mind at will, when you invite me to. Yogi Dash, do you always need my permission to be able to make contact with my mind? Babaji Dash, without your permission I cannot be present. You and only you are the master of your personal aspect over the internal mental total. Only what you intimately, deeply, and internally accept happens. Yogi Dash, so the reality of the world and the universe that we all share, comes from a deep internal common acceptance in everyone's mind? Babaji Dash, that's right. In the depths of your own mind, there is what always exists before your personal mind can exist and happen. This bottom in the depths is like the bed of the ocean of existence. You, the world and the entire universe, are and are on the surface. From this background we come and to this background we return, both in life and in death, both in the instant between one thought and the next. This fund is constant and does not allow change. Yogi dash, the common acceptance that is the cause that creates my personal identity, and everything seen as world and universe, are this background without change. Babaji dash, acceptance is not the bottom, but what emerges from the bottom to the surface. It is the water, the currents, and the bubbles. All this movement is a single force. The cause of this force is found in the total darkness of the background. It is a movement towards the light of full consciousness, which is only possible if there is a surface. All the movement becomes surface, where the waves are agitated. Only there, in the agitation and in the interaction, it is possible to materialize the information and the knowledge, which are nourishment of the light of full consciousness. Yogi dash, and what does this consciousness consist of? Babaji dash, in the confirmation that the essence of the background does not require any superficial light, the background is total light and, as it is not reflected. That is the whole cause of the surface. Yogi dash, I have not asked you before, how is it that I, being Latino and speaking Spanish, can understand myself so clearly with you in my own language, when you are Hindu? Babaji dash, the mind at its deep level speaks a universal language, then it is the brain language layers that work and assign words to the deep language of the mind. We speak to each other from the point where thoughts originate. Language does not reach there, because it is only a layer, a result of a later evolution. At this level of consciousness, we can always understand each other. It is the source or channel that both you and I always use to reach anyone or everyone. You use it, but you had not thought enough beforehand about its nature. Now you know. Yogi dash, how does it work? Babaji dash, thought is produced or detached from the deepest level of the mind. The bottom of the ocean is common to all living things. It is not the content of the cerebral mind, but rather the substratum of the pure mental essence. Thought does not take place inside matter, but matter is inside the mind, from the bottom of the common ocean. The bubbling of thought is constant from the bottom to the surface. The cerebral mind makes contact with this bubbling and adapts the thoughts in a process of personalized appropriation and distortion. When it is possible to reach the source of all this bubbling, it is possible to reach the common thought of many or all living beings. Your consciousness becomes receptive to seed thoughts, which contain the essence of all ideas and sensations, but are still formless. At that level you can order them and give them a pre-form, so that all personal minds can receive it. You can also experience them and perceive the different personal minds. Yogi dash, isn't that playing God? Babaji dash, what is within the possibilities of the complete phenomenon of consciousness, has been given to us by God for us to explore and use. In everything, the double temptation of good and bad can present itself. We must always remain vigilant to know how to do the right thing and not fear the consequences of our actions. We cannot stop the force of consciousness. We are always in action when we are not submerged in deep meditation and identified with the bottom of the ocean without change. Only through the continuous habit of deep meditation can we do the right thing naturally and spontaneously, because we are in harmony with the source of all our thoughts that drive our actions and determine all results. You have used that level of consciousness several times. Yogi dash, how do you know? Babaji dash, at that level to which we can reach, the slight changes of pressure and direction of the currents are felt. You changed the future of things, and that can be experienced. Yogi dash, I thought that only I knew what I was doing in silence. Babaji dash, it is your mistake to consider the deep reality of the mind in this way. If you can do something from that level of consciousness, it is because we all accompany you and accept that you can do it. This acceptance is not from the field of action of the individual, but from the deepest bed of the ocean of existence itself, where the power of the living reality of each sentient being over the universe resides. When you act and change something, it is because you are only the wave. The movement originated in the background and we are all moving with it. Yogi dash, if it is so simple, why all the yoga, why so much talk? Babaji dash, because you understand me you can do it. For those who do not understand, it is necessary to fight against the adhesions of the samskaras that fix themselves on the individual conscience. These samskaras are the underlying mental impressions that accumulate in the subconscious and are created by reactions of pleasure to happy experiences and aversion to painful ones. Jumping over the cause-effect chain is not possible for the one who lives identified with a body, for the one who calls his body I. The root of this confusion is still very tightly bound, and for anyone with these beliefs to let go of body consciousness is tantamount to death. Yogi dash, how is it that you are still alive and with the appearance of a young man of 25 years, when they say that you have centuries? Babaji dash, the Kriya Yoga technique allows restoring the balance in the vital energy that circulates through the spinal cord. When the technique is deepened enough, it is possible to reverse the effect of the wear produced on this current, adding extra energy and thus correcting the defect. While it is true that there is a chemical process involved in the aging or wear and tear of the physical body, the phenomenon occurs before at the microelectronic, bioelectromagnetic level. The field of human vital energy makes a journey during the period of waking consciousness, after which the trace of wear is left. The Kriya Yoga technique intervenes and makes it possible to erase this trace, so that the body avoids the effect of aging. The technique itself is simple. The difficult part is being able to perceive the evolution of wear, consciously locate it and apply the correction. This implies that wear is not constant, it is cyclical and can be reversed. Kriya Yoga is a conscious psychophysical technique, but it is not impossible that its effect can be reproduced through digital technology. Yogi dash, they say that you and your sister Mataji master this technique of eternal youth. Is there anyone else? Babaji dash, personally I have taught it to 3 other people, who have managed not to age. But its practice depends on the environment and on a special condition of the mind. It is not good to live with other people busy in their mundane chores and not grow old. Isolation is more appropriate and this cannot be supported by any mind. You understand the technique and you have not wanted to use it because you live with others and you understand that they would see you as someone strange and not normal. In addition, in the depths of your mental essence, I do not find a difference between having a body and not having it. You allow the action of karma because you know that it fulfills an objective, otherwise you would suspend it. Yogi dash, what do you think of advanced digital psychotronics? Babaji dash, I follow the objective and I see that it is achievable for the present time. It contains dangers but also great hope. If you put it in human hands, you'll know what you're doing, so there's no going back. But I agree that the time is right and it is a risk that we must all take. We do everything to direct humanity towards peace and full beatitude, but what others do is not in our hands. We can influence but not obstruct free will. Only God can directly interfere with it and decide whether to act to correct a serious deviation in the nature of all of us, manifested beings and therefore limited, even though our consciousnesses are expanded. If we as instruments at the service of the divine are insufficient or fail, God always has the option to intervene directly. Indirectly, his action is constant and everything depends on it. Yogi dash, I thought you were totally one with God and God himself over the world. Babaji dash, I am simply dedicated to his service and perhaps a few steps ahead of others. But while there is a body there is limitation. My consciousness is submerged in the infinite, but it does not stop being a human consciousness like yours and that of others. My mirror is cleaner, but it is only a small mirror unable to reflect the complete and always pure light of the whole. I can act and live in harmony with the totality, but there is always a difference of levels. In the deepest substratum of existence I share the same essence with the totality that God is, and no separation or difference can be found, but as a human consciousness I exist in limitation and under a conditioned phase. Through the yoga of meditation I have transcended that limitation, and the will of God can be expressed through my state of limitation. But God is always limitless, and his essence is not to be confused with any of his manifestations. In my deepest essence I am God, as are you and all living beings. You must not confuse this with the wave of confusion that is born from the identification of the mind with the body. Yogi dash, where does karma really occur? What is it based on? Babaji dash, karma rests only on God. Its substantiality is only God. The past moment only exists because it is in God and is seen by God. The present moment is the same and the future is the same. Everything we can do and think is already contained in the seed of karma. Yogi dash, what is the free will then? Babaji dash, karma is memory and free will is the will. You and every living being can alter karma and transform it with every little present action you take. Karma is always active and always working, always developing from potential to potential again. The more you understand this cycle, the more you can modify it in a specific direction. It is like the farmer who saves the best seeds for the next harvest and thus selectively improves the grains. Yogi dash, what is the best method to move karma? Babaji dash, I told you that karma is supported by God. Therefore, if you unite and immerse yourself in God through meditation, you will be able to influence karma more widely. At that level, the only limitation is your own mind and imagination. If you are trained in detachment and concentration, you can really achieve almost anything by directly modifying karma, acting on its seed, before its effects manifest. Yogi dash, am I not running the risk of causing imbalance at some point in the cosmos? Babaji dash, if you are in union with God, your will does not contradict God's and both unite in a single force and intention, so that the resulting modification on karma is not against the harmony of natural law, but a cooperation with the continuity of said harmony. Yogi dash, it is said that a teacher protects his disciples. How do you protect them? Babaji dash, everyone who opens his mind with good intention, from the bottom of his mind to me and mentions my name, automatically and instantly puts himself in harmony and in intimate communication with the substratum of my personal and impersonal existence. When this contact occurs, a subtle interaction is established between the minds, and the same spirit that guides and blesses me, guides and blesses the one who thus remains in harmony with my mental essence. If you teach others the mantra of my name, I will be with all of them, as I am now with you. Yogi dash, will humanity overcome its bad karma and survive all the tests that are already upon the world? Babaji dash, if the force of evil karma were truly dominant, would not exist, and you would not be having this conversation with me either. There is always hope that humanity will prevail over its own low tendencies. Will make contact first will depend on humanity's own degree of collective moral evolution. And it is necessary to make a sincere examination, with the state of violence between one another, at all levels, that is now reigning over the world. How will we be interpreted in the eyes of a non-terrestrial intelligence, as hostile or as peaceful? With the destruction of nature all over the face of the world, will outsiders see us as rational or irrational? Yogi dash, do you predict a war with aliens? Babaji dash, there is a very ancient protection over all humanity so that this does not happen. But everyone should understand that as you go out into space, space also goes into Earth. As humans expand and colonize our solar system, we leave a new cosmic footprint. Other, more advanced technological civilizations that are sensitive to this imprint will examine and study it to determine the full effects of this new equation, and if affected, will take preventative action. They will not speak or come before, they will first study the full effect, then they will decide the course of action that best suits their own interests. I have seen worlds where intelligence has evolved without freedom and ignoring the consciousness of God. These beings do not have the idea of sharing the resources of the universe. But since they are not capable of accepting reality, they fail to develop the maximum possible point of mental and material technology. However, they are more advanced than present humanity, and it would be a complete disaster if they contacted us when we are not yet fully and similarly capable of defending ourselves. This is the reason why there is a special protection on Earth, which weakens as we move further from our home in the desire to explore and acquire new knowledge. Your plan for Human X technologies closes the gap and allows for a directed acceleration of our present civilization. It is a correct alternative that can be developed to the extent that it can be understood. In the last few years, information has been confirmed and disseminated that there are a multitude of planets in our Milky Way, and that a small number of the total, but sufficient, present suitable conditions for the development of life and its awakening into conscious intelligence. Anyone who reflects on this truth, now scientifically accepted, will be able to observe that my words do not lie and conform to the truth of the possibilities of what is outside our planet. Yogi Dash, when do you think the first contact will take place? Babaji Dash, just as I can examine other worlds, using the power of deep meditation and the unlimited reach of the mind, other intelligent beings using equally advanced or even more advanced mental and material means can make the same contact. I am certain that we are already being observed by highly advanced civilizations. Yogi Dash, where are we standing and what do we represent in the symphony of the universe? Babaji Dash, we are unique. Throughout the Milky Way there are worlds similar to Earth, but not identical. Evolution followed a special and non-reproducible path here. God's consciousness is expressed in us in a differential way that cannot be repeated anywhere else in the galaxy. Love reaches its maximum expression in human conditioned existence, and therefore its counterpart, which is hate, also reaches the same level of expression and materiality. For this reason, the presence and future coexistence with humanity is considered the most valuable and dangerous in the entire galaxy. All other beings involved will react to us, depending on whether love or hate is the predominant nature over our collective nature. Yogi Dash, can all humans evolve by meditating correctly? Babaji Dash, that's right. Meditation is a powerful neurostimulator in brain evolution and modifies neuronal functioning. Only by meditating can we cooperate in increasing the level of universal love, of God's love, among all of us. Therefore, although it is an individual effort, by meditating each one, we are all involved in the process. And as more people meditate, the easier it becomes for everyone to meditate, and the more people experience the need to meditate. This happens because meditation is a fourth state of mind, which is necessary for everyone and for there to be harmony between us and our body and actions, with our environment and with all other beings. The need for greater health, peace, and happiness lead us to the natural action of lucid, relaxed meditation and in a state of conscious alert passivity. Yogi Dash, do you have any special and different condition that has allowed you to evolve so much? Babaji Dash, I am as human as you or as anyone go. What is in me is an intense and profound will of God, to be with God. And I enjoy His grace to be able to make this materially possible. I dedicate much of my time to meditation, and this has progressed so far that I remain in this state, even though my body and mind are immersed in some other activity. But the truth is that much of my time I am practicing deep meditation, and I do not abandon this state. Yogi Dash, Yogananda has recounted, by sayings of your previous best disciple, Lahiri Mahasaya, that you can materialize a complete palace only with your mind. How do you know that it is not you who invented everything we see, the entire planet Earth? How do you know that a deep layer of your mind is not the cause of this world? Babaji Dash, you have finally hit the point. Well, I will tell you frankly, I know that it is the deepest layer of my mind, that it is the universal mind, that it is also in your own mind and in everyone's, the cause of everything that happens. The earth is no more real than the will that shapes it from this basic layer of the universal mind, whose surface is the appearance of our selfhood. This layer deep down remains the cause. On the surface it is the effect that has become all of us. So, answering your question, yes, we are all the cause of this world. Do you still need me to repeat it? Yogi Dash, I try to understand it in a practical way. What will happen then if all or a large number of people meditate? Babaji Dash, if the surface makes contact with the bottom, the effect is diluted in the cause, the wave dissolves in the ocean. This is not the end, but the beginning of recreating new waves. The result is that the world would experience an extraordinary rebirth. As will be? We cannot know because nothing like it has ever been achieved before. The new full effect is only in the limitless imagination of God. Yogi Dash, how many are needed meditating correctly for this to happen? Babaji Dash, 10% of the world's population. If one of every 10 meditates and does it at the same time as everyone else, time stops. Yogi Dash, it's just me, you, and less than 100 who accompany you. How can we change what 7.7 billion think? Babaji Dash, those who deny you and do not open the doors, will discover that all doors are closed to them. Those who meditate and have psychic powers and do not listen to you, and do not unite for the lives of everyone on the planet and let them make fun of it, they will lose everything they have. Because my good friend knows that it is all the power of karma who accompanies you. You do so that everyone lives, and so those who do not do with you and do not accompany or receive you, do against all the sacred life, and acting in this way, God, who is the source of all blessings, abandons them, and from him they will be able to do no good. And to receive and what they had before, they will lose everything. There are those who receive joy through meditation and material and spiritual progress in their lives, but woe to each one of them when they receive your message and do not follow it, because everything that was given to them will be taken from them and even added. Further, God is not indifferent to what he has entrusted to you. He is with you and we accompany you. You just need to have faith and trust. Do your part and leave everything else to God. Do not be discouraged or tremble before the world, because what is stronger, the created or the creator? Yogi Dash, why did you agree to participate in this message? Babaji Dash, the cake is for the party and so that all who participate can enjoy it equally. Did you think we'd let you choke on your own? Yogi Dash, you no longer seem so divine to me. I find you more simple and human. Babaji Dash, what did you think of me? Wow, you are confused too. He knows that I am like you, but with all evil extinct, with all selfishness exhausted. What is in me is only the natural power of human good without the presence of any evil. Yogi Dash, do you know sin, or were you born without sin? Babaji Dash, just as you know sin, I am free from having practiced physical sin, but by the mere fact of possessing mind and body I knew in thought all the force of sin. I submitted it with a greater force, which is the will concentrated in meditation, and I live without the stain of sin. When I achieved this I was able to stop aging in my body. So there you have the answer you expected. Because they live in sin, they grow old and then they die. Yogi Dash, how do you make it so that nobody finds you? Babaji Dash, I live together with those who follow me from camp to camp, from cave to cave, and sometimes we rest in our hermitage. Just like you, nobody looks for us if we don't want it, and nobody finds us if we don't allow it. We prevent physical contact from taking place first in our mind, and if the event does not occur there, how do you expect it to take place later in external reality? Yogi Dash, can you explain more about the effect of no time? Babaji Dash, from the source of thought, in the deep collective unconscious, which is the consciousness always awakens from God, one by one the bubbles of thought are produced that ascend through the different layers of the mind until they hatch in the human conscious mind. A lower level of this process is the transformation of these bubbles into the regeneration of nature, but the thought force tends to continue ascending until it reaches the highest stage of evolution on Earth, which is human consciousness. If 10% of people meditate at the same time, the human conscious mind goes down the scale of the internal process and the upward force is interrupted. When this occurs, the phenomenon of stopping time occurs, the event stops. And this is accompanied by the contact or communication of all the force in origin of the bottom of the source of thought with the surface. In other words, all the glory of God is manifested in His own light on the surface of the world, that is, on the human conscious layer. It being pure creative power that is released, the world is necessarily recreated and all resistance to this pure force is overcome and eradicated, sin is swept away and essential harmony is restored. This is a technology that can be used as an alternative when the current negative trends severely compromise all forms of life on the planet. Yogi Dash, how much time do we really have left? Babaji Dash, time is not marked by the stars, the clock, or the rhythm of pollution. The true time is controlled by the collective consciousness of humanity. When the strength of goodwill declines, time will be up and the worst will come suddenly. Yogi Dash, sometimes it is difficult for me to understand you. What are you, a demigod, a superhuman being? Babaji Dash, what I am is only the natural and developed potential that exists in every man and woman, who abandons all evil and puts himself at the service of good and loves God. I breathe like you, my heart beats like yours, my blood circulates through my veins and arteries like yours. Understand, I am as human as you, but free from all evil and individual selfishness. Yogi Dash, could someone kill you? Babaji Dash, I stop the aging process in my body, but I am as mortal as you. Now, before someone can harm me, I must consent in my mind to that action. Because your mind is not focused, it is undisciplined, and you are not firmly established in meditation, things happen to you that you mistakenly believe your mind does not control. He knows that the true nature of reality is purely mental. Yogi Dash, are we the gods of our own destiny? Babaji Dash, that's right, neither more nor less. Everything that happens to you, before a deep layer of your mind accepts it and creates it. Outside only happens what first happened in your deep mind. Yogi Dash, it's hard to believe and accept. Babaji Dash, the more difficult it is to believe, the less you will do to explore your mind, and if you do not know your mind you will not control it, so you will never be able to guide and improve your destiny. Understand the truth of the situation. God gave us meditation as the only tool to eradicate all pain and suffering, to find satisfaction to good and correct desires, to receive peace and beatitude, to make our life grow fully. If you don't practice meditation you walk in darkness and you don't recognize that you walk without light. Of all the animals, only man has the ability to meditate, only man has the necessary brain structure that makes it possible to know one's own mind and God, within the same process that leads to cosmic consciousness, to God's consciousness, and to unified consciousness. Yogi Dash, but you tell me that I must suppress all sin, how do I do it? Babaji Dash, replacing the thought of sin, by direct experience of God. When you meditate, and the mind becomes more and more internalized, the force of thought is transcended and perception is sharpened enough to make contact with the essence of God in each one of us. In deep and internal communion with this root of thought, all sin disappears from consciousness and progressively loses its influence. Over time what prevails is the living consciousness of God within you. This is not achieved through an act of thought. It does not work to think concentratedly about God, because what you produce is only a thought of God. What you must do is contact God internally. Only if you meditate and practice the proper technique can you achieve it. It is not thinking, but rather an internal act of will and attention naturally and without effort, flowing progressively and concentratedly over the source of one's own thought. You are already Him and you cannot be other than Him, since nothing exists outside of what the Absolute is in itself. Therefore, It is not a question of reaching being, but of making conscious of what you already are. Your nervous system must adjust from the perception of the external relative to the internal immutable. It is a natural physiological process that occurs without effort or tension, with the correct technique of concentration and meditation. It is not a sudden rapture, nor any discharge of emotion. Direct contact with God is an always calm and relaxing experience, like immersing the mind and body in an always warm pool of softness and tranquility. The ecstasies are in the deep imagination and subconscious and are not the actual direct experience. Making contact with God is the simplest and most natural, because God is the substratum of existence, consciousness, and happiness of every living being. The being or God is the eternal source of all manifestation. It is not different from what you truly are. It is what you are in real essence. And for the contact to take place in your consciousness and become a simple and full experience, you must meditate on this and understand it intimately. When understood and accepted by consciousness, you immediately contact and realize the self in your own mind. The force of sin begins as a soft blow in the back of your mind. When you perceive the symptoms, abandon everything and concentrate your mind on God. Raise your attention to God. The force of sin has its source in the continuous identification with the mutations of the body. If you raise your attention towards God, you change the process of identification with the body for that of identification with God. If you practice enough, then the mind acquires the power to repeat it automatically, until the force of sin is totally replaced. This is a transformation on the background of your mental essence, and you progressively recharge yourself with God's consciousness, until you advance and consolidate yourself in the unified consciousness. It cannot be achieved without making the effort and imposing the restriction on the mind. It is a constant practice. The more you do it, the more you free yourself and the presence of God in you increases. Yogi explained to me that all the power of karma accompanies me, because I don't understand it clearly. Babaji the power of karma operates from the conscious mind towards the deep mind. If you do not know anything about the precept of non-violence, you are not aware of when you violate it. Before the 10 Commandments, the people of Israel did not have a clear awareness of sin, so they did not receive its full consequences. Since harming Mother Nature across the planet has not been clearly exposed as a sin, as a grave moral offense, the reaction of the power of karma is still not instantly replayed from the deep subconscious. If you go out to preach this, you cause a wave of subconscious power that will act on everyone's deep and collective unconscious. A wave of chain reaction is produced with the capacity to shake the surface of consciences. You create a force whose reaction you can use to further your cause. Be fair and prudent. As the consequence of going against Mother Nature is to take countless lives now and in the future, the power of karma reaches its maximum intensity and your reaction can act immediately. Only then will people understand the seriousness of their faults and will feel inclined not to repeat them. Yogi you have been observing human actions for centuries. Have we progressed? Babaji, knowledge has increased and compassion has waned. This can only be reversed by massifying meditation. Only if the individual changes and improves, the world changes and improves, not before. Yogi the more I try to advance in meditation and the more I understand that I know nothing. Can you help me? Babaji let's work together and invite all human beings of goodwill to do so too, so that we can do it together among all of us. I also hardly know a little. It is time to open sacred knowledge to science, so that science may be sacred and an effective method for the salvation of all and the renewal of nature on the planet. Yogi and how do I make them believe and collaborate? Babaji do your homework, let God do his, have faith and patience. Continue working. Yogi do you totally trust others? Babaji I do not deposit in others the trust that should only remain in me. You must learn what cannot and should not be transferred to others. If you are clear about this, you can always trust others. Yogi Dash, can you give me an example? Babaji Dash, it is not wise to give the keys to your house to someone you barely know. Yogi Dash, how much time do we have facing the problem of global warming flood extermination? Babaji Dash, the clock is set for the complete thawing of the North Pole. When this happens, everything will speed up. Humanity should already be doing everything possible and impossible to prevent this, the beginning of all its future tragedies, but it is asleep. Wake them up. Yogi Dash, I feel like David before Goliath. Babaji Dash, the stone that is in your hand is God, aim well at the target and throw it. Put your trust in the stone, which is in your hand for a reason. Don't think about the means, don't think about the results. Concentrate only to hit the target. Babaji and Yogi Metatron. December 2008. April 2010. Yogi Dash, so, a part of the story is real. When will the aliens arrive? Babaji Dash, like you, I cannot accurately penetrate future events that are moving at hyperluminal speed. They will arrive between 2025 and 2100 as you wrote. Yogi Dash, did I attract them with what I did? Is it my fault? Babaji Dash, you do not do anything, without all humanity being equally involved, remember? It does not matter who carried out the last action, the important thing is that now the responsibility belongs to everyone. Yogi Dash, I thought you were going to condemn me for my decisions. Babaji Dash, actually, I thought so too. But the Divine Mother intervened on your behalf and allowed me to see over my own shoulder. My mind maintains contact with yours. When you moved 1,000 years into the future, I was able to observe the same thing as you. Yogi Dash, and now what do you think? Babaji Dash, the goal of yoga is ahimsa, but if life on the entire planet is compromised, self-defense is justified. A battlefield identical to that of the ancient Pandavas against the forces of evil represented by the Kauravas has been presented. The field of Kuru, or of duty, has extended to the very border of our solar system, where the first battles will take place. Yogi Dash, did you know all this, from before? Babaji Dash, no, it was revealed to you especially. Yogi Dash, did you contact the visitors? Babaji Dash, I do it when talking to you. Yogi Dash, have you not identified the intruders before, telecontrolling human bodies? Babaji Dash, there is a very ancient presence, as you very well say, and that Lord Krishna identifies with the incarnated beings who are forced to be reborn in demonic wombs. In our yoga culture, we always held that vision. This has changed since your observation. Both personally and among my group, we were amazed to verify the data you were able to record. God allowed you to see the face of the enemy and track him through time. None of us could ever imagine before that we would be as a race, the target of an offensive on such a vast cosmic scale. We are assimilating, little by little, the enormous wealth of vital information that your time displacement managed to collect. Before you ask me, I'll tell you, yes, I'm worried. I know that the clash cannot be avoided and that we all must fight. You also don't need to ask me if you did wrong. Honestly, I don't know another human being, under the conditions of extraordinary pressure that you went through, capable of maintaining self-control, not being scared and reacting. You broke the temporary attack and led the counterattack in the future. You gave us all a chance. Yogi Dash, I think I would have preferred your scolding. It's not good that I believe what you say. You know me and you know that my discipline is a disaster. Babaji Dash, have faith in yourself, you will improve. Yogi dash, no one will believe this story. Babaji dash, let God act, wait and you will be surprised. Yogi dash, will the Human X weapon system, Phase 3, be enough for the strategic defense of our solar system? Babaji dash, when humanity possesses that technology, work on Human X, Phase 4. Yogi dash, anything else you want to say? Babaji dash, we will see if we can help you in your satellite experiment. I agree, you have to attract attention, a little. Everyone will wake up suddenly. There will be voices that say that the information should be hidden and not create panic. In a war, everyone must mobilize if they want to survive and win. And let me tell you, as we believe you and we know that what you did is true, the battle on Earth has already begun and the first objective is to adapt the technology to detect the invaders' mental projections towards the carnal bodies of the infected hosts. Yogi dash, to think that the last time we talked my concern was only global warming and hunger. The bad becomes good when the worst comes. Asterisk note, an incident has taken place. One or several strangers entered my apartment this week. They stole a removable hard drive, all the flash drives, where there was a copy of the system, my personal notebook and my identity document. They came specifically for the data. They did not touch the loose money on top of one of the pieces of furniture. This has given rise to direct divine intervention in protection of the work of salvation of all humanity in process. The League of Yogis has reported that it has telepathically tracked the entire network of those involved in the incident, from who reported, who ordered, who paid, and who executed. Retroactive karmic vibratory bombs have been implanted psychotronically in the brains and hearts of the culprits, which will implode. From now on, robbery and crime throughout the earth are paid for with death in this world and in the other. There is no appeal.